You are now listening.
You are now listening
to the Black Male Educators Alliance podcast.
Lifting our voices.
Lifting our voices.
Welcome back. Lifting our voices at BMEA podcast. Made it to February. I think we are safe to say so far 2021 is better than 2020. How we feel?
Feeling good. Happy to be here. I'm feeling good.
I feel good. Mike, you all right?
No, I'm good. I mean, you said 2021 is better than 2020.
I'll take January 21 over January 20.
Oh, for sure. RIP Bean Bryant.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, good. Happy Black History Month to y'all, brothers, man.
Oh yeah. Okay. Always. Curtis, how you feeling?
Good, man. I'm good.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Any news to share? I mean,
no.
Can we take a moment? Hold on, before you even start. Can we just take a moment? As you look, I don't know. Something happened over the last 2 weeks to Curtis. He, got a whole new situation. So we just take a moment. It must be nice.
Hey, man. Like night over there.
Man, I'm in my hometown of Chicago, handling some business, doing work still, as you can see.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's the beautiful city of Chicago back here.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. But yes, I'm doing all right. Messed up my foot, man. So don't even get me started on that.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. Everybody pray for Curtis.
Please do.
Yeah. Okay.
And my right foot.
So it's just pretty much gonna be us today. We got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we
got a special guest, but for the most part, it's just gonna be us. You guys, we can hold it down for the whole time, can't we?
Yeah, man, I think the people missed us, man. Just to hear our talk. So yeah.
So February, new semester. Look, at least at my school, I can say the kids they're starting to itch to come back. I mean, they've been itching, but I think with the new semester, they really are ready to get back. Some of them. So we're going to talk about that, coming back to school, and then extending the school year. I woke up early this morning, turned the news on, and there was talk of extending the school year, and I had to restart my day a little bit. But we'll get into that conversation a little later. So. New semester for me started Monday. New semester, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's the goal? Mike? What's your goal for the second semester? How are you going to reset so that you can have a better second semester than you had a first semester?
I think learn from our mistakes. See what we might have missed the first time, and just be more intentional about supporting teachers and students. A lot more support for the students, though. I think that's just the biggest thing. A lot more support for them.
Crystal.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in from a little bit of a parent perspective. I think I told Mike this. Quarantine first happened. I was up early cooking breakfast every morning, listening to some motivation. I'm serious. I'm not even joking.
No, I believe you. It's just funny thinking about. I know where this is going.
Yeah, and making sure everyone's in bed by a decent time. I was on top of both my kids, their schoolwork and just assignments. And like you said, as the year went on, became hard to really keep up with everything. So I just did some resetting of some norms, having my two kids who are in school, like, reevaluate their workspace, just kind of seeing like what's been working, what's not working. Like, maybe you need to work here for the morning part. I've been trying to make sure everyone's getting to sleep, getting more rest, just waking up more engaged. So I just took the opportunity. It was a short transition, right? Because it was like semester 1 on Friday, Monday, semester 2. But really, I would spend like that last week just really looking at how do we get back gained for this. I think at first it was a challenge and you kind of wanted to rise to the occasion. So how do we as parents and educators and also students still understand this is a unique challenge and situation, but like, how do we show up as our best selves every day? So week 1 is almost in the books, and I would say this has been a solid week. So I want to build on this on all those different fronts.
Yeah, Curtis, you're at a leadership level. How do you see the semester change? Is it different for you now that you're a little higher than being in the school level?
Man, I think it's been trying to reset folks at the school level. It's been, right now I'm actually this time of the year is like really thinking about next year. So I'm deep into planning. I just focus on how we gonna start next year, because I think next year is really the new start. Whether we come, we'll get to those conversations later. Whether people start now or in March or in April, um, you know, I think September is where my head is at. So network first, that's what my focus on.
Yeah, just for me to round this out, I don't know. I've been randomly energized this whole week. I think knowing that this is probably the last semester we got to deal with this has been helpful to know. And I think the other thing is eventually we're going to have to open back up, be a school. And so really taking the time to, check under the hood and make sure the systems are tight. The school that we want to be when we open back up, we need to be working on now. And so that's where our focus is. I'm excited to get back. And so if this is the last semester we got to go through it, then I'm good with that. So I know we do have one special guest tonight. I know Mike is excited to introduce him, so I'm going to turn it over to you, Mike.
Yeah, so as most people may know, at BMEA, we do a lot of work around engaging and developing Black male educators. And so we started a fellowship last year, and we learned a lot from that experience. And what we want to also do is like highlight and celebrate our brothers who are still in the classroom or still in the schools doing the good work. So we had one of our first cohorts of BMEA fellows in the building tonight, and he has a similar journey with me. He actually started teaching in Baltimore, so we've connected on a few things, and it's one of my good friends, Nick Ciminet.
There he is.
All right. Good evening, gentlemen.
Thanks for
We
joining.
do the soft tap around here. Welcome to the show.
Good to
Nick,
be here, man.
Can you tell the people about yourself?
Absolutely. Real quick, I started off my career, as Mike talked about, in Baltimore City and doing my work there. And then I moved to behavioral interventionist, worked with special ed, finished up my master's degree in that out there at Goucher. And then I came on out here, and I am teaching in a stark different district and environment, working in Grosse Pointe. And it's a very affluent community. Apparently, I was the first African-American male ever hired at the elementary level here in 2017.
Wait, say that one more time. You was a what?
Wow.
I was the very first African-American male elementary school teacher hired in the entire district in 2017 when I got here. And so it's been, I'm carrying the cross for us, but I definitely recognized, my value, whether it's showed to me or not. I know that I'm here to do the work for the community, for our African American community that is there in that community, and they want, obviously those parents have taken an opportunity, take a chance, took a risk, growing their kids up in that environment. But I'm good. I'm glad to be there to serve the community in that way.
That's Black history right there, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Black history and sad history at the same time. And if you don't know about Grosse Pointe, Detroit, Grosse Pointe, but that's a whole nother story. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. And so, it's so funny. Some of my work that I did, because right now I'm finishing up, started my internship, finishing up my degree, my ed specialist degree, and administration degree there. And one of the classes, to Curtis's point, Dr. Lewis's point, we talked about this Alter Road division between Detroit and Grosse Pointe being the widest median gap in economics in the entire country. You go from the average income being median income in Detroit being around mid 30s, and then you cross that street, and the median income is 97, 102, something like that. So, and it's huge, and you can tell. And even though the borders aren't there, the mentality is there. The mental barriers are still there. Psychological barriers are there. So it's interesting working in this community, and but I'm excited about the work.
Are you originally from Michigan, Nick?
No, I'm originally from East Cleveland, Ohio, and after my undergraduate at the University of Akron, I spent the globe, and and it landed me out on B-more. And so I was out there for a while, and met my wife, and she's from Detroit. And coming back out here to the Midwest was just a beautiful thing, getting an opportunity to grow my kids up right close to their family, and be able to grow them up with those Midwest values.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So, Nick, I don't know if you heard the conversation. We're talking about how we're resetting for the second semester of the school year. So, jump in. What measures are you taking to make sure that you have a stronger second semester than first semester?
Oh man, absolutely. This time around, I'm gonna first like taking a pledge to kind of like feed myself in terms of like work out, get better rest at night, no matter what's there in front of me, make sure I go to bed at a good time, because I've got to be ready for them the following day. And so just kind of nurturing myself, doing some self-care. I think that's really important. Also, outside of that, I would say, taking some time to get more familiar with technology. That wasn't necessarily a strong suit for me, and so I really had to take some time to get acclimated to Pear Deck and get acclimated to all these different programs that would allow me to be more virtual and make the virtual experience better for my students and for myself as well. And so I think, doing it this time, I want to definitely make sure that I extend myself out, to a few more parents. I've been doing that a lot. In fact, I actually gave my own personal cell phone number, which I never do. I used to communicate through email, but this year, things are different, and I want to make sure that I'm available and accessible to them. And I got a lot of emails during the first semester from parents saying, Mr. Symonette, to be honest, we get so many emails, could you just text me? And I'll see my text before I see that email. And so, just doing my best to be available and accessible this time around.
Awesome. So, I think a lot of us have learned, especially in the communication department, some better strategies to employ for the second semester. And while we're maybe excited to show off how much better we are the second semester, now there's talk about coming back to school. And so recently, Governor Whitmer expressed that she was encouraging schools to be back open by March 1st. And so I know some schools are already open, and some schools are maybe gearing up for March 1st, and some schools are going to sit back and take it a little bit slower. But I know we have a clip. So, Chris, you want to show the folks a clip?
Today, my administration is announcing a goal that all school districts offer an option for in-person learning no later than March 1st and earlier if possible. The value of in-person learning for our kids is immeasurable.
Starting Monday, our K-12 teachers and child care staff will be able to start getting vaccinated. And this is another important tool to help prevent spread of the virus and to keep our kids in-person learning.
On top of testing and vaccinations, we will work with districts to ensure that when schools begin in-person learning, safety protocols like mask wearing, hand washing, and social distancing remain in place.
Ooh, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot.
So,
May,
go ahead, Nick.
No, I was just gonna, man, it's a great thing because we do know that, and what we've seen so far, what the data shows is that kids learn better in person. All right, I think that's hard to argue against that. However, we have just spent an immeasurable amount of time, a ridiculous amount of time, just trying to get caught up and brought up to speed in terms of trying to use technology to the best of our ability. We just went through the whole, this whole thing showed us, exposed the tech divide, right? And all of the things that we tried to do to supplement for our kids. And now, it feels like all of the changes that they've gone through, since last year, here's yet another change. I guess it's a change for the better, but change nonetheless. So, I just feel some kind of way about that in terms of teacher readiness, in terms of like our health wise, right? Like where right now, one of our biggest discussions is to vaccinate or not vaccinate. You know what I mean? Like, do we trust it right now enough, or can we not afford to not trust it right now? Because children, about 20 some odd kids, are going to be sitting right in front of us in a few weeks. We need to be ready for that from a health perspective. And so, I did go out and get my first part of the vaccine because I wanted to prepare for my classroom being pretty packed, if you will, with students according to the whole 6 feet distancing piece. And now we're even seeing that it's been cut down to 3 feet. So, I don't know how accurate that is, but, I have my thoughts about that.
Yeah, Nick, to your earlier point, Nick, about the process of getting ready. Like, we didn't have a real process of getting ready for virtual learning. I feel like we all of us got hit hard with the reality of it, and then now are preparing to kind of try to improve it. And then you come in with this, all right, well, now we're going to send you back into schools with like that anxiety of the virus. What it's going to be like if some of these kids have been out since March, so basically a year from being in person. What is that like socially? What is that like mentally for our kids? Like, that adjustment is going to take time, and for schools to even be prepared for that. So to that point, it in itself is like it feels rushed. It feels like it's coming from people who aren't in the classroom or teaching. Like you said, I'm scheduled to get my vaccine too. Not because I mentally was ready for the vaccination, but I was like, had to get ready for it in the event that we got to go back. So
let me add this though, okay? Because I don't disagree with what you said, Mike, but there's always going to be a process to, I guess, getting back to some sense of normalcy. So I think it's all going to be about the execution, right? Yes, if we just try to run back and throw everybody back into packed classrooms and grading picks up as normal, I think that could be very problematic. But I do think whether we start this process here in February, March, or whether it's in September, there's going to be this, this beginning period that I think has to start at some point. I think it's a lot of challenges. I do think the governor has been very sort of flip-floppy to me. It's been kind of inconsistent in some of the, they say you can go to school, but then I know, but I feel like Governor Whitman got a lot of praise for a lot of things, but I don't think she's very consistent. And like you said, it is politics, right? Because like soon as Trump was out of office, we get this announcement that it's time to go back. It just all seems interesting to me. Curtis, you want to say something?
Go ahead, Curtis.
Muted, bro.
You're on mute.
You're on mute.
You got to unmute yourself.
Let me say this while he's getting himself together. I watch a lot of news. All right, I watch a lot of news, and I just try to put all the pieces together. So Biden wants people to go back to school, right? Biden and Whitmer are like this, right? look, we can be honest. Detroit's doing a very good job with this vaccination rollout. Okay, you can, you want it, you can go get it. You listen to some other states, it's a little harder. Okay, so you put all of that together, and I can't see how it's not getting closer and closer to a Big Gretch saying, "Hey, look, everybody, I gave you all enough time. It's time to get back to school." And it's not going to be a goal. It's going to be a Big Gretch go back to school statement, and that's what I believe is coming.
So first of all, I'm gonna start calling her Big Gretch. we giving her two, whatever. But let me say this: all respect, but Big Gretch. We so quick to give people that that you in the club. So, but let's ask this question:
it's a pandemic.
Who is pushing? True. Who's pushing us to go back? Right? Like what? Like who's protesting folks to send their kids back to school? That's and it was a great article that was just published not too long ago that's talking about the certain families being left out of this conversation. Right? You ain't seeing parents in Detroit like we want to go back to school. That's not happening. They're in Chicago. They're having a big fuss now. The mayor is like putting her foot down. By midnight tonight, we got to make a decision on who. I mean, we got to make a decision between the union and the school district on whether they're going to go back or not. People like in the city of Chicago ain't like, we want to go back to school. So where am I going with this? Who's running? Who's dictating this? Who's actually influencing our governor, also our president, other folks? Y'all, we know the middle class, upper middle class white folks are controlling this situation, these parents, right? Because, God forbid you sit at home. Oh, let me not do that today. Be quiet. For a few minutes and raise your kids for a few months. Okay, but I'm gonna be quiet for the day.
Listen, people in the South who didn't change anything. Them teachers were dying in them schools in the South, and they were forced to close. They didn't follow the instructions or follow guidelines. They stayed open, and they were forced to close. And people are still dying in them schools. And it's like none of this opening has to do with data or statistics. Like nothing is saying like, oh, March 1st is a good day for y'all to go back to school because it's safer, because everybody's vaccinated, because whatever the case may be. Like nothing is like that date is just a date, just to say a date.
Well, you know what, man? It comes down to the dineros, right? It comes down to the money, right? Because I see what right now, in our district and Grosse Pointe, we're losing a lot of students to the private schools. All right. And we got families that can pay $30,000 a year to send a second grader to school. Absolutely. You know what I mean? They have access to resources. All right. So it's nothing to them. And so what's happening is you see in the boards say, whoa, there's this mass exodus out of here. Stop that, because once kids leave, money is leaving with them. All right. Federal dollars are moving with them. And so in a to get everybody back, let's bring them back. Let's try to save and salvage the families that we have. Okay, and let's open back up, because what we don't want to see, right, is all of that federal money being shot that way. And then we want to, obviously pander to that, because that's, you got to follow the dollars.
Ooh, hey, listen, you may have just uncovered a big piece of this all, because listen, it's a private school not far from where I live, and they were open this whole like in person, because I know I have a friend who will send her kid, and I was like, wow, like, and okay, they just mask the kid up, and like I said, if you have the means to send your child there, and so I think you bring up a very good point, Nick. We think about how power is influencing things. I think that's a very good point.
The power structure. Who has the power?
Same old.
Absolutely, Nick. We want to thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate you adding your
fellow.
Yeah, good fellows. It was a pleasure. When I got a chance to see. When I first moved here, I was looking for. Moving here allowed me an opportunity to curate my my circle. You know what I mean? And when I saw BMEA, I was like, those brothers, I need to connect. And when I saw that shirt that Brother Payne has on, the 2%, that drew me. And I actually didn't know it at that time that we only constitute a representation of 2%. And that just made me know, that made me feel like, I'm home. And I wanted to be a part of everything that had to do with everything you guys are doing. So thank you so much for the invitation tonight. Thank you for giving me the platform, allowing me to speak to my experience. And you guys keep doing the good work and keep fighting the good fight.
Keep representing.
Shout out to Nick.
Yeah,
a Black History maker.
Yeah,
shout out to Nick. I didn't expect to hear that. So shout out to him for that.
No, man.
What'd you say it was, Curtis? A sad and a glad?
It's a Black history and a sad history.
Somebody pointed out to me that whenever we preface it as Black progress when it's really white progress, right? Them getting their first Black educator was progress for white people, not us. It wasn't the fact that there was a lack of quality Black educators. Y'all was staying in the way of yourselves. And Nick is there to be that Black male for them Black boys and girls who parents trying to send them to them rich neighborhoods thinking it's going to be better education when it ain't, when it's not, when that racism ain't.
Y'all trying to man, we got to get funding and stuff, man. Y'all got to get funding.
Hey, when I send the next media kit, I'm gonna just omit. No, I'm joking.
If you ain't trying to, if we ain't getting funded for what we stand for,
right. Exactly. 100%. Absolutely.
So to get back we do really plan this. I promise you, folks. We really plan this. Okay. So we were talking about going back to school, and then I said this morning, I woke up watching the news, turning on early. First thing I hear before I even have coffee, they're talking about extending the school year. So I know we got a clip that talks about it a little bit. So let's hit the clip, and then we'll talk about it on the other side.
Yes, good morning. Dr. Michael Rice says there's been a historic level of local control when it comes to districts doing what they feel is best for their students and families and for those students learning. In fact, he says that nationally, there are as many approaches to how to teach students safely during this pandemic as there are school districts. And so across the board, what he's calling for now, as you mentioned, is for additional school days next year, although he did not specify a number. He's also calling for students to return in all districts to some form of in-person learning if those districts are comfortable.
It is desperately necessary that we get a handle on this, that we figure out how to best educate our kids in this space and how to get them back on track as soon as possible.
And so the joint House and Senate Education Committee's conversation with the state superintendent centered on how to counter the negative impacts of the pandemic's disruption on schooling.
We need to pivot to a new, better normal, not simply back to where we were pre-pandemic.
At the start of this school year, Dr. Michael Rice says about 3/4 of all school districts in Michigan offered an in-person option, with only 23% fully remote. By December, it was half and half.
In the absence of these orders, more people would have become infected and more would have died.
At the same time, he says the downside is many students haven't learned as much as they should have in the last year with all the disruptions. So he's calling on the state legislature to increase school days next school year. The current minimum number of school days is 180.
But that's just the beginning. There needs to be a layering of additional time.
Look. Let me say this. I'm getting tired, man. Let me say this. I mean, we all know, and I'm not even trying to go there, but I'm going there for a little bit. We got healthcare disparities, right? That is showing out. We know who's dying more, who's COVID is impacting a certain group of people. We know Black folks of color, way more than anybody else. Mm-hmm. Then we move into, I'm looking at this clip, right? And it remind me of like why BMEA is important, right? Dr. Rice is a cool guy. I heard he did great things at Kalamazoo. Kudos to him. Like, seriously, I'm mad respect. However, I'm looking at who's all involved in these decisions. Right? Like who are at the table helping make these decisions? First of all, schools were crappy before the pandemic. So don't start like that's like act like oh kids will be like honestly the whatever gap you want to call it is only on widening. Like Nick said, folks in Grosse Pointe who can afford to send their kids to school, or Chris said the private school by his house, those kids are still going to school. Those kids in Grosse Pointe or other places are getting in these piles and doing what they got to do. It's the kids in Detroit and Flint and other places, but it's suffering now and suffering before the pandemic. So here we go. This whole talk years ago of let's keep kids in school for 9 hours, 10 hours a day. They're gonna learn more, right? We ain't looking at the real issues, right? We're just gonna put another band-aid. So we're gonna keep them in school for 240 days, and that's gonna catch up with their learning. Like you can keep a kid in the classroom for 240 days in a bad school or in a bad class for 240 days. What are they gonna do? All right, let me stop.
Hey, and he's talking about, we need to improve to a better normal, and he didn't talk about what needed to actually improve. It ain't the number of days, it's the instruction. The reason why virtual learning didn't work outside of the technology gap and
curriculum
ain't getting enough money is because what we were teaching in person couldn't work nowhere else. Was that even actual learning? Is that real education? If I can't do it from home?
Hey, Mike's fired up today. I like this.
Go ahead. I love it. He won't today.
Is the problem with your teaching that it isn't the internet that's the problem? It ain't me being at home that's the problem. If our kids aren't independent enough to learn from home, that ain't the problem. So you about to just send them to school more so you can just brainwash them more so they can be more factories? For what? Are you going to pay teachers more? Are you going to keep all that extra money, all them extra laptops in there?
Pay them. Yeah, exactly. Hey, I'm putting out a call to the state. Y'all need. Hey, I am open. Anybody open to sit at the table and let's think through this. What communities, and not just a certain communities, have been making decisions. Let's bring everybody to the table and let's have a conversation about how we do this responsibly, and if that's going to have an impact on everybody, and not continue to feed the same system we've been feeding before the pandemic.
Hey, Chris. The segment for this segment, the question was, do you believe that Michigan students should have an extended school year?
Well, you got that answer.
Yeah.
So I believe that learning doesn't stop in the classroom. Yes, I believe that the system is predated on an outdated concept, but I don't think that this extended year thing is trying to solve what he thinks is going to solve. And I don't think they're going to do it right either. I have no problem with teaching all year round if you got the right amount of breaks, right? If you got the right amount of support, the resources, the funding, teach all year round. The problem, have our kids go to summer school anyway.
Yeah, I think. So. Here's my problem with the clip, or just the call, as they said, like his call for the state legislature to change. It's like you said, it's empty without a critical examination of how does this actually operate? Because whenever you say something for the whole state, we know that
it's not.
It's an inherent inequity at play there, right?
Yeah.
And what I don't know if you said in this part of the clip or if I could cut it, but they were talking about. He starts it off by saying how schools have had kind of more control than ever.
A historic level of local control.
If you peep how they, it's kind of coded in a way to say, hey, listen, we let y'all do what y'all want to do.
Did not just say that.
It's not working. So my problem is that now it seems like you're trying to say, hey, we need everyone doing the same thing, and it's just going to magically work. Because extended school year could bear some positivity, but if some legislator is the person making the decision, and if you're trying to take control from local school officials and teachers and parents, then I have a very big problem with that. So, that's how I feel about it. I mean, I think people just say stuff for headlines a lot of times and don't engage in the critical work necessary to actually make it impactful.
If after a year of the pandemic, extending the school year is the best solution we got, then clearly some folks have been working from home a little too much.
First of all, how about we do something now? How about we make sure we cancel the M-STEP test? How about we do that? How about we stop making these kids take any test? Right? How about you want to do something different? Like, let's start there. We can do that now. Like we had, y'all know kids are taking tests the past few weeks. We don't even know what we're doing with the M-STEP, right? Like, Let's make that decision. Let's focus on that. Let's chill that out for right now. But of course, and let me tell you something, those suburban schools, I guarantee you, ain't going to no school no full year. They will not be going to school a full year. Or longer. They won't be extending their day. Vacation days. That's this camp day. This day. Hey, come on, y'all.
So, look, we were fired up a little bit today, specifically Curtis and Mike, specifically. But it was good energy today. But we got to bring it home. It is Black History Month. I think, Chris, I wish I would have texted you about that LeBron clip. Did you all see the LeBron clip about Black History?
No, I just talked about the one with him and the.
We'll talk about that too. But he was basically explaining, Black History Month, not just a month, not just a day, it's all the time. Obviously, that is the case, and clearly we all feel that way. So with that said, though, we do want to take a moment to honor some Black history, and so the three of us are gonna go mute, and we're gonna let Chris take over with our BMEA Black History tribute for tonight.
Thank you. We want to honor Dr. Olivia Letts, who recently passed away. Me and Dr. Lewis Kurt, we were talking about the show, and we wanted to have this segment, and I think maybe the next day or two, she had passed away. And this came to my attention. Actually, one of our previous guests, Dr. Dorinda Carter Andrews, was connected with her. Dr. Sonia Gunnings Moten, another MSU, mentor of ours, also. So they were posting about her, and I was reading up on her life. She was the first African American teacher in the Lansing School District, as well as the first African American principal in the Lansing School District. So we wanted to definitely honor her. I'm going to read a little bit of her bio. I may not read the whole thing, but it says Dr. Letts graduated from Chicago's Teacher College, where she earned her bachelor's in education. She later went on to Loyola University and then to Michigan State University, go green. I added that part, where she received 3 advanced degrees, her MA in education, EDS in education administration, and her PhD in curriculum. After being told that Lansing schools did not want to employ African-American teachers, Dr. Letts recruited friends and local citizens to approach the Board of Education on her behalf and convince them to approve the appointment. Dr. Letts has committed her career to providing quality service to others through her leadership and support in various community organizations. She founded a retiree group, has been involved in the Capital Region Community Foundation and the Lansing Community College Foundation. She continues to be active with Highfields and Delta Tau Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. Through her contributions to education in Lansing and being the first African American to teach in the district, Dr. Letts has dedicated her life to increasing access to teach for the future teachers of color. While principal in the district, she positions herself to pave the way to launch citywide efforts to end segregation in Lansing public schools. Dr. Letts was a leader and a steady example of strength, courage, and grace in the face of racial inequality. So we want to definitely honor Dr. Letts and her family. Definitely a trailblazer, and we know Lansing is a special place for us for a few different reasons. So definitely want to honor her.
I really love when we talk about just all kinds of folks doing Black folks doing amazing things. So often in this month you get the same kind of rotation of 15, 20 folks, and so just to hear a story like that, you don't get to hear that every day. So that was awesome. Thank you, Chris.
Yes, thank you.
So we're getting ready to shut it down for the night. I know Curtis and Mike are especially tired, and they're gonna have to get some rest after this. They put a workout, they put a shift in tonight. But we have a big, huge event on Saturday. Mike, you want to talk a little bit about what's going on before we play the little trailer teaser?
Yeah. I mean, what we've been talking about. Education needs to change, and we need to start thinking more critically about what are we doing with our students. And so this event is talking about like teaching critical thinking, right? The mental tools kids need to have to be successful, virtually or not virtually. So we have a special guest speaker, Colin Seal, coming on Saturday. Really dynamic guy, and I think people are really going to enjoy hear his words and definitely get some good key tools out of that.
Cool. I'll play the short clip, just a little preview what you can expect from Colin if you haven't heard him.
Awesome.
Whether we're talking about what kids want or what we as educators want, we know that we want to create these ideal environments to unleash our kids' full potential. It's hard to care about graphing polynomial functions when your mom is on food stamps.
I am the first generation of my family in this country. I'm part of a single-parent family. My dad was incarcerated for 10 years for selling drugs. We had to learn how to make $1 out of 15 cents. Growing up in Brooklyn, New York, I had to constantly be able to assess credibility. My whole life was an exercise of critical thinking, and that was before I even stepped into the school building.
I fundamentally believe that genius is distributed equally. But too often, opportunity is not. And in this age of agility, opportunity is about giving our kids access to those deeper learning experiences that will unleash their critical thinking potential. We're here today to talk about leaving genius on the table. And this is a very personal subject to me. This is something that really resonates. And it's a conversation that is really kind of overdue within our education space generally and within our charter education space specifically. When I think about our journey to start Think Law, where we've got this organization where we help teach critical thinking using real life legal cases in upper grades, fairy tales and nursery rhymes in lower grades, because there's a lot of shady characters in children's stories. 31% of kids that are starting out as high achievers are starting to fall off. We are leaving genius on the table, and that number is higher for kids on lower income brackets. So when I talk about gifted education as an equity issue, I'm not talking about some elitist framework. I'm talking about something that's affecting a whole bunch of kids.
If your kid is bringing home straight A's on a report card, it's our inclination to be happy about that. I would be suspicious about that. I would look at that as evidence that maybe your child is not being challenged to their full capacity, because underachievement is a huge crisis in our community, where good enough is too often good enough.
I want you to think about a future where critical thinking is no longer a luxury good. And if that excites you as much as it excites me, I want you to join me in integrating our vision into your work, because that is how we will create lifelong learners who are ready to thrive in this age of agility.
Awesome.
Yeah.
He's a bad man.
Yeah.
He's. I think people are in for a treat on Saturday.
Yes, you are. Saturday morning is a way to start your day right, start your weekend right. Absolutely.
You know, it's early.
And what do they say at the church? We're not going to hold folks too long.
Yeah.
2 hours, get edified, and go about your Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
You can roll back in the bed. You can stay in the bed and watch it if you want to.
Honestly, a good word in the morning for sure.
So if you are interested in joining us, if you haven't already, please head to our website, bmeaofmichigan.org/event, and register at our Eventbrite so that you can get the Zoom link and join us Saturday morning at 9 a.m. I'm going to be there. I'm going to see you all there, I'm sure. Right. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Any closing thoughts? Chris, I'm gonna say if you have a closing thought, we're on our way out and we can't afford to get Mike Curtis fired up again.
Yeah, right. Nah, just great energy. Appreciate you guys bringing the passion and perspective. I enjoyed myself. It was an honor.
It was fun. Curtis, look, I know your foot is in pain.
My foot is messed up. I'm on Motrin. I'm like out of it. So this is all the energy I got. But when it's coming in your heart, man, you got to like get it all out. So
I actually think it's the view. I think that's why I think you just feel loose and inspired.
I was like this the last show.
You're in the corner spot.
And it's so that.
Right. It's luxurious.
I've been all my life, man. 20 years, 25 years in this game of education. So almost 25 years. Been fired up. Chris knows he's known me the longest. I've been fired up for a while. Say nothing new.
So,
I'm just not holding back anymore. I used to be like, but now it's just like, nope.
Well, we love to see you. I guess whatever you got, Mike's got too. Mike, any closing thoughts for the folks?
It was good to talk to y'all, man. I think we've had dynamic speakers and listening to them, and they've been great. And I think this is finally got a chance to like really chop it up with you guys about these topics. So it's been great. I love it. So great show today. Yeah.
Awesome. So I got my closing thought is really a challenge for you all. Okay. And I just want you all just to trust me on this one, okay? So we all know that the Clubhouse app is out here now, okay? And I told you, Curtis, I've just been trying to just put my feet in the water a little bit. I just want you all to try it too for the next 2 weeks, and then maybe we can come and talk about how education space gets talked about in the Clubhouse app. I think people want to hear about it. I think people are curious.
Man, I get tired. We do a lot of talking and pontificating and all that kind of stuff. I ain't got time for that. Like that, if people come up with
a show, we want to talk about it.
But all is just talking, and we just talking about who's smart and who know this and who did this, and you ain't doing nothing. I want us to get together and plan and build some stuff. If we ain't on that, not get used to my time.
Okay, I hear you, Curtis. The challenge is all four of us are gonna do just a little research, and then we're gonna come back and talk about it.
Okay.
Can we do that?
I got you, Jerry.
I got you.
Thank you.
3 out of 4 is good.
Okay, you're right. We'll take it, gentlemen. It's been great. We'll talk in a couple of weeks. Everybody, thank you. Oh, we didn't do the follow. Please follow us on our socials: BMEA of Michigan, Facebook, Instagram. Am I missing it? YouTube. Subscribe, follow.
Yeah.
And we appreciate everybody leaving the comments and the chat. Seems like it was popping in there, huh, Chris? I know you had your eyes on it.
Yep, popping. It was good. All right, y'all.
All right, guys. Appreciate it.
Have a good one. You are now listening
to the Black Male Educators Alliance podcast.
Lifting our voices.
Lifting